Okay, welcome back, guys. This is for Algebra 1. So hopefully you're in Algebra 1 right now if you're looking at this video. And we're going to work through the first common formative assessment that you guys took and kind of go through the close reading protocol, the steps in this solving these word problems. And the problem that was given was this Smith family word problem. So what we're going to do is hopefully you have this out. You need to have this out right now as well as
your close reading protocol.
Right, so have both of those out in front of you.
Okay.
And first step in the close reading protocol says, read the problem once.
Okay. So the Smith family currently lives in East Hartford. Mrs. Smith got a new job as marketing executive, and they have to move to Sacramento, California. The family called a moving company to find out the information about the renting a truck. They were informed that the company charges a flat rate of $100 to use the truck, plus an additional charge of 74 cents every mile traveled. The family has $2,000 saved for the move. The distance from East Hartford to Sacramento is 2,930 miles. Will the Smith family be able to bear the cost of the truck to move to Sacramento? If so, how much money will they have left over? If not, how much more money will they have to save?
Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Parsons. One little thing to add on this is oftentimes when your word problem is there, it has like a part A, B, and C. Make sure you read the whole problem. Like in this case, Mr. Parsons actually read the questions as well. So, step 2, reread. Check. We did step number 1. Step number 2 is reread and identify what I'm trying to figure out. What is the problem or what are the problems? So this is, we're trying to identify important information in the problem.
So let's go back here, okay? So, one of the first key things that you can always look for what we're looking for, question marks, right? So, will the family be able to bear the cost of the truck to move to Sacramento? That is important information, okay? That is part of the question, okay? Another part of the question is, if so, how much money will be left over? Or if not, how much more money will they have to save, okay? So this whole thing is a question, okay? But there's one thing that doesn't have a question mark, okay? And it's in the problem, all right? What do we need to find, okay? Well, what are they talking about? The total cost, okay? So, we need to find the total cost.
Again, if you look at the question, it's right in the question. Will they be able to bear the cost? So the total cost of the trip is really important. How much money they'll have left over. Again, so you know you're dealing with money and cost is kind of the key part of this problem. That's really what you're looking for.
Okay. So we've identified the question, okay?
Next one, identify unknown words or phrases. All right, so as we read through this problem, we're going to look for any words or phrases that might be confusing or to you. And as I look through it, there are a couple words that pop out at me that might be confusing. One is flat rate. That might be a term or a phrase that someone might not understand. The other is being able to bear the cost. Be able to bear the cost. Might be a phrase that some of you might not have heard. And there might be other words that you might not know. A marketing executive. There may be words, and you'll see in the next step if it's not an important information, we might be able to just eliminate it. But if it is important information, we need to make sure that you understand what those words are. So if we go back to our protocol now, we want to find out what those words mean. Okay. So you might talk to a peer, talk to the teacher, ask one of us. You can actually use context clues within the problem to figure out the meaning of that word, or you can just look it up. You can look it up on, Google it or something like that. So
the second part is use context clues, right? So the bearing the cost, okay, that might be something that you have never heard before. But in this context, okay, will the Smith family be able to bear the cost of the truck to move to Sacramento? Okay, well, that's a weird phrase. Okay, if so, how much money will they have left over? Oh, they're talking about the cost. Will they be able to afford it? Okay, like if you look up the word bear, okay, you're going to probably get a grizzly bear or something like that, okay? So that's where we're using context clues to figure out what the meaning of that phrase is, okay?
Same thing with flat rate. If you look at the term flat rate, again, you might not understand what that means. You can ask one of your peers or teacher, but that's just kind of the set fee. That's a standard fee or set fee that a company charges for a particular item, in this case, renting a truck.
Okay. So now we've identified some words and phrases. Okay. Now we're going to identify the important information. And the big key to this is to remove the useless information. We're going to cross it out. I don't care anymore. Okay? All right.
So as we go through this, let's see. How about I'll read, and Mr. Parsons, you can start crossing off. So the Smith family currently lives in East Hartford. Not important.
I don't care.
Not important. It doesn't matter where they live or their names. Got a new job. Doesn't matter. What they got a job for. They're moving to Sacramento. Let's see. Family called the moving company to find out information about renting a truck. I mean, they're renting a truck, so I guess that's important.
Renting a truck is important. But do we care that they called?
Yeah.
No.
Not important.
Okay.
Let's see. They were informed that the company charges. Okay. Now we're getting into some important stuff. They charge.
So, do we care if they were informed? No. The company charges. We don't care if they were informed about it. It's the company.
Good. Company charges a flat rate of $100 to use a truck. That's definitely important. Plus an additional charge of 74 cents per mile. Very important. The family has $2,000 saved. That sounds important.
Yes. We don't care for the move.
Yeah. Let's see. The distance from East Hartford to Sacramento. That's definitely important. How far?
Yes, that is definitely important.
Okay, so, and again, on the problems, we've kind of already highlighted those. Those are all important, that information.
Very important.
So that, as simple as that was, is step 4. We identified the important information and removed the useless stuff.
Now we're going to reread the reduced math problem. Okay? So, the company charges a flat rate of $100 to use the truck, plus an additional charge of 74 cents for every mile traveled. The family has $2,000 saved. The distance from East Hartford to Sacramento is 2,930 miles. Will the Smith family be able to bear the cost of the truck to move to Sacramento? If so, how much money will they have left over? If not, how much more money will they have to save?
Excellent. And another thing, as you are looking at your vocab, if you had found out what that meant, bear the cost, you might write right in here, will the Smith family be able to afford the cost? So you might actually put the other word in there if that helps out.
Okay. So we've reread it. Okay. Now we're going to classify the type of problem or procedure that we're going to use. Okay. So we're going to have to pull out some variables. We're going to have to figure out, okay, are there any formulas or equations that we can use? That sort of thing. Okay. So the biggest thing with this is, okay, we want to find the total cost. Okay, so the total cost is a variable we need. Okay, that's the big thing. Okay, and miles is important, right? So miles is very important,
and we know that because again the charge is varying for every mile. So for every mile you're getting charged a certain amount of money. So that's why we know that's important.
Okay, so I'm going to classify this as like a single equation thing, and you might not get to this. It's almost like a y equals mx plus b formula, but it's just a one equation formula. Okay, so we've classified it. Okay, and identify the procedure. Okay, so that's the big thing is the procedure. Okay, so I'm going to take the number of miles that I know, okay, and I know that they get charged for every mile that's traveled, so I can do some math there, okay, and then I got the total cost, or the flat rate here. Okay, so I'm going to find the total cost, okay, and then I'm going to figure out, okay, is that above or below $2,000? If it's below $2,000, how much will they have left over? If it's above $2,000, how much more money do I need?
Okay, and at this point you might actually say, all right, let's start putting some variables to these things. So for total cost, what should we use? Should we use y for that?
Yeah, y sounds good.
So we might use y for our total cost, and for our number of miles, we might want to use x. Again, you can think about these in terms of dependent and independent variables. This is another way to look at it, where your total cost is dependent, so that would be a dependent variable, on your miles,
which is your independent variable. This is the thing that changes.
Okay, so total cost depends on the number of miles that you go. So from here, you can start setting up the actual problem.
So now I'm going to solve the problem. Yeah. Okay? So what we want to do is we want to kind of ask ourselves these questions. Okay? So, what is the problem asking? Okay? Well, really, it's to find the total cost. And if the Smith family can afford it. Okay?
Okay, so these were the questions you were given along with this CFA when you were given this word problem. So question number 2 is, what does it mean to have a flat rate of $100? And hopefully you've learned that through whatever means you needed to, but context clues or whatever. But a flat rate is the set fee or charge the rental company charges. Okay.
Okay, what will be needed to solve this type? We already discussed it. One equation. Okay, and we're just going to use cost in miles.
Yeah, one equation, and you might even add that relates cost and miles driven, and that's just a little more detail on that.
He's a very detailed-oriented person.
Question number 4, how much does a Trent rental cost per mile? For that key detail, simply go back into the problem. You know, you look back into the word problem, and you'll see it says charges an additional
74 cents.
74 cents for every mile. So that one would be simple, 74 cents.
Okay, why is the cost per mile important? Okay, why is it important? Because I need to know how much I'm traveling, and based on how many miles I travel, that my cost is going up for every mile that I'm going. So that's why it's important, is because for every mile, it's going up 74 cents. So the cost is going up for every mile that I'm traveling.
Right, total cost goes up with miles. Whoops. Travel by the cost per mile. Excellent.
So now, what process? Well, you always have to set up or
Define your variables.
define your variables. Sorry. Set up an equation. Plug in what I know, right? And then answer the question.
Again, your steps might look a little bit different than this, but that's a general idea of the steps. You might have a little bit variation in those, but that's the general idea. Let's see.
So now we're gonna
So now we're gonna work through the math of the problem. So
okay.
Let's do that right here. And again.
So again, X is my miles. Y is my total cost. Okay. So my total cost is based on 74 cents for every mile traveled plus $100 flat fee. Okay? So now I know that my miles that I traveled was 2,930. So that is going to go in for X because X is my miles. Okay? So 27 X, or X turns into 2,930 plus 100. So that turns out to be 2,168.2 plus 100. So the total cost for that trip is $2,268.20. Okay? So now I've solved the math of it. Okay? Now I have to go back to my close reading protocol and rewrite the question as an answer. Okay? Well, let's go to the question. Okay? Will the Smith family be able to bear the cost of the truck to move to Sacramento? Well, we need to know how much they have. Well, they have $2,000, right? So the Smith family has $2,000. Okay? Smith family has $2,000. So will they be able to bear the cost? Okay, no, they won't be able to bear the cost. Okay, they can't afford it. Okay, they won't be able to afford the trip because the trip needs $2,268 and they only have $2,000. So they will need an additional $268.20 for the trip. And now I have officially answered the question and I've worked through the problem. Okay? So we use the close reading protocol to model this, and you should have this out every time you hit a word problem.
Thank you so much, and hope you enjoyed it. And if you have any problems, you can see your teacher. Thanks.